My app failed completely. In May 2025, I started building my first mobile app. It was called Styler. It was an AI fashion app where you basically take a photo of yourself, rate yourself, get a rating, and get some advice. We started building it in around the beginning of May, and it was on the App Store by the beginning of June. By about mid-August, about 2.5 months later, we had made a grand total of $0 and only had 1,100 downloads. And it really comes down to one or two key reasons. Firstly, I was spending too much time on product, and we weren't focusing on how to actually make money from this app. So what did we do after that? So about mid-August, we made the decision to both focus on marketing, whereas before it was me product and my co-founder marketing. And about another 2.5 months later than that, well mid-October, so I don't know how far that is, maybe 2 months, we had an insane amount of views and impressions. We were everywhere. We had over 35 million views from organic content. We had like 1.5 million views or impressions from influencer content. I mean, we were everywhere. But while those impressions and those views look insane on paper, and you probably thought, oh wow, you must be racking it in at this point, you must be making thousands of dollars, we only had 2,100 downloads in that space of time. So from the first 2.5 months, we got 1,100. Second 2.5 months, even though we got so many views and so many impressions, we only got an extra 1,000 downloads. And I mean, revenue-wise, I mean, we did launch a paid version of the app. So at that point, we had made about $263, which is pretty tragic. I mean, it's an ROI I don't really want to disclose on here because it's that bad. I mean, I haven't even calculated it, but let's just say it's very, very negative. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, projects are going to fail. You're going to build an app that isn't going to be the one that takes off, or the software that isn't going to be the one that people are going to want to use. That's just the way it works. But failure is only going to be truly failure if you don't learn from the mistakes that you made and you don't learn the lessons that you need to learn. And trust me, over the past 3 months of building this app and getting only 3,000 users, only making a few $100, I've learned so many invaluable lessons. If I were going to go back to my past self and tell him 3 things that made sure that this app, or that I built another app that was going to work, these are the 3 things that I would reiterate. Firstly, stop being a perfectionist. When I built this app, I told myself I wasn't going to be a perfectionist. I told myself I was just going to launch it and I was going to get it out there and market it and just make it, make loads of money from it or whatever. But I was still a perfectionist. We got it out relatively quickly. 4 weeks or 3.5 weeks for me was a reasonably quick time back then. I didn't know anything about building apps. I didn't know anything about App Store. So it was reasonably fast. But once it went live, I was always thinking, once I fix this next bug, once I fix this next feature, once I add this new thing to the app, then I can start marketing it. Then it's going to be the one that works. Then I'm going to put it on TikTok. Then I'm going to put more effort to marketing. But that's not how it works. It has to be the second you launch it, no matter how many bugs you have, no matter how many issues, no matter how many features you want to add. Okay, maybe spend a couple of hours a day fixing them if it's really required. But as much as possible, you want to put 80% of your time into marketing. Because once it's live, your only goal is to get users. Because momentum and being fast is everything. The quicker you can get more people to see it, the quicker you can find out if it's a project worth pursuing. The quicker you can find out if the feature you're going to build next is going to be one that people are actually going to want to use. You need to get it out there. The second thing I'd say is monetize from the very beginning. I mean, it's so easy to fall into the trap of saying, we'll start free, and this is what we thought. We said, we'll start free, we'll get loads of users in. But the thing is with that is, you're making 2 mistakes. Firstly, free users and paid users are completely different species. Every free user you get in, there's a high chance they'll never convert to the paid user. There's a high chance they don't value your product to the level that you think it's worth. So if you make it free at the beginning, then you introduce a $5 monthly subscription, there's a high chance that these free users are going to expect it to always be free and not pay the $5. The second thing is, a payment is going to confirm your idea. Anyone will download an app for free. I'll download some bullshit app that I'm never going to use in my life if it's going to be free. But no one's going to pay for an app that they have no intention of using. So if you can convince people to pay for your app, you can qualify and validate that this idea is a good idea and pursue it further. Whereas if you can't get someone to pay for this app, you know that it's not a good idea. If from the jump, we started with a monetized app, our lives would have been so much easier. Because either A, we'll put it to, I don't know, we're at the beginning of doing female audience. We'll put it to the female audience with a hard paywall. They didn't pay for it. We know it's probably either an audience problem or it's a content problem, and we can readjust. But because we didn't do that, we were getting users in, and we thought this was affirming that it was a good idea, when in reality it wasn't. Because like I said, anyone will download an app for free. So whether it be a hard paywall, some sort of soft paywall, some sort of one-off purchase, anything you can do to get people to pay you, put it in there, because it's going to help you validate your idea. It's going to help you validate your audience. And it's also just going to save your time. You don't have to think about attracting people who are just going to download the app for free and who are never going to pay. And the last lesson is, not all views are going to be equal. Now for me especially, this one was really, really, really hard to learn, because when I put those videos up and I was ranking in millions and millions and millions of views, it felt so good. It felt so affirming. It felt like I was getting something, this app's finally going somewhere. And it kind of feels like you've done something, you've clicked a switch. When in reality, we had nothing, because those views had a conversion rate of 0.007%. That's not something slightly wrong, something, we can just shift a few things and we'll make it better. That's a fundamental issue in the content. The content is not converting to any level of a standard that is worth pursuing further. Now I'm going to pop some of the content we put up on the screen, but one of the main issues with our content was we weren't showing a problem and positioning our app as a solution. We were just showing it's a cool app. Now it's very easy to fall into this trick. Every time I open X or I open TikTok, I always see an app that's doing this, that's showing, and it looks really cool, it looks really awesome, but they've got no problem solution. And I just know they're not converting. I just know maybe they're getting users, maybe they're getting a few users, but I just know that they are not making money from the users that they're getting, if they are getting users. Because the problem with that is you're not pushing on a problem. You're not making users feel pain, and they're not downloading your app out of pain. They're downloading your app out of curiosity. Now, the thing that's always going to convert more is pain over curiosity, which is why a problem solution type video or content or anything is always going to work better. Not just, here's our app, isn't it cool? Or, look at this, it's great, isn't it? It will never work, because while people may download your app out of curiosity, there's a very low, very, very, very low chance those people who do download your app out of curiosity will pay, because they're not entering into your app with the push on the significant pain point. You've already heard it a million times, but a million people who don't have the problem you're trying to solve seeing your video is way, way less worth it than 1,000 people. There's so many people on this planet that you could target 1 million people. You could get 30 million views of people who don't have your problem, or random people, let's say, and there could be like 10 people in that only have the problem you're trying to solve. Or you could target, and also you're not pushing on the problem as well, but you could get like 10,000 views of people who do have your problem that you're trying to solve. Like they significantly have that problem, it really aches, and you will make way more money, and you'll probably get more downloads as well. Look, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm not here to make my failure sound like, oh, it was all part of the plan. It was all part of the success. It hurt like shit. It was stressing me the fuck out. It was terrible. It was awful. You put all that work in, and I've had agencies before where I've put the same amount of work in and made so much more money. So when you put that amount of work in, when you feel like your work time is valued at a higher level, you put all that work in and it feels terrible. It feels genuinely like shit. You come out the other end and you just don't want to accept the fact that it's failed as well. You just want to keep pushing, because you just sort of think, once I do this one thing, it's going to work. But I'm so happy I did it, because from that I've learned so many lessons that even at the time I couldn't acknowledge. When I was building it, I didn't think about these lessons that I learned, but now I've built it. All the lessons I've learned through those few months of building were huge, massive, life-changing. Like, I genuinely know so much more about everything. But don't make the same mistakes as me, because I've already made them for you. So go out there and do what I wish I did. Market it from the beginning, monetize it, always make sure you're charging something, and make sure you're getting high value views. And you know what? If I've got 30 million views and only 2,000 downloads, but I can stop you or a few of you from making the same mistake that I made, then maybe it was worth it. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting, and I will catch you in the next one.